can't be serious, man. You cannot be serious.
I only turned it on because you were about to ring someone.
No, well, I've got to get out of it.
Go on.
I've got it's school holiday, so I've got to get out of a meeting this morning so I can look after the kids.
What? School holidays?
What about I just on my Twitter feed? So
you're going to
the Jamara Ugelhagen story,
Mm-hmm.
Sam.
Good.
So this is a young man, number 1 draft pick, who just to give you a little bit of background, who has said he's got a few issues off the ground. No one reports what it is because you're not allowed to do that
personal
anymore,
issues.
but you are if you're someone else. You can write whatever you want. But there are some that you're not allowed to write about if you say that you've got issue. If you say you got...
is he Indigenous?
If you say... No, but if
he's not.
If
Is he white?
If you say that you have some...
Mental problems.
Mental health issues.
Is he
You're
white?
not allowed to write anything about it.
Duck, please.
Is he what? No, he's he's
Aboriginal.
I think he's an Indigenous boy.
Okay, yeah, go on. So go on.
No, but the point, it's got nothing to do with him being Indigenous. The point that I'm talking about is that he's posting all of this stuff. So he's not playing for the Bulldogs at the moment. He's just saying he needs some time off because he's struggling with certain issues. But he posts himself out and about drinking, eating at restaurants and being at pub bars and all that sort of stuff. That doesn't come across as someone that has mental health issues to me. Someone that has mental health issues is probably tucked up in bed, can't get out of bed, can't, do certain things, and is really struggling with day-to-day life. So if you're out drinking, and I would argue that if you do have some issues, then drinking is probably not going to help them. So when's enough enough? When do you say, or when can a club say, I would have think that is your contract, even though you're having some time off, surely the club has the ability to say to him, listen, mate, if you're not playing footy with us and we're continuing to pay you, you at least have to toe the line. You can't be out drinking and partying and doing that sort of stuff if you're claiming to have certain issues going on in your life. And when these talk about weak as piss, journos that write, someone puts beer in the wrong esky and they friggin' write about it, or someone does, certain people do certain things and they're up in arms and they still talk about stuff that happened years ago.
You know the answer
and
to
you've
what
got
you're
this very person doing this sort of stuff and they don't write or,
because they're treading on
eggshells. You know why? Because they're as weak as...
Yeah, because they'll be labelled of being... racial profiling.
No, I don't want this to happen. I just think it's hypocritical. They are hypocrites.
So say I was sitting where you are saying exactly, I was saying what you just said then, this is what you would say to me. Well, Sam, you're Sam, maybe his mental advisor...
Hang on, Sam, I'll finish this up. Hey, mate, I'm gonna struggle to get to that meeting. But I'll call you soon, all right?
What the fuck?
Okay, speak soon.
Holy shit.
There you go, got out of that. See?
Shit, touch me again.
No, that was a high, that was a low five.
That was a fiver.
That was a fiver with Indigenous artwork on it.
So, Sam, could I say this to you, Sam?
Yes.
Maybe, what's the boy's name? Jamara. Maybe his mental advisor and depression coach has said, Jamara, why don't you, mate, let your hair down, go and have a couple of, what do you call them, coffees? You said...
espresso martinis.
Espresso martinis. Let your hair down.
Not espresso.
I said, do you think I'd say espresso? It's like people saying excavators. They might have said, mate, go out, let your hair down, have a few beers, clear the pipes, just go and let your hair down, have a week off of doing what you just want to do, and come back refreshed, recharge the batteries rather than sitting up in the fetal position at home in bed, feeling sorry for yourself. Get it all out. Go and go out socially. That's what you'd say to me. A bit like Sam Kerr.
You don't. No, because I would. If you are struggling with serious mental health issues, then you are not out. You are not out drinking in the public eye, and you are not drinking, and you shouldn't be drinking alcohol. You shouldn't be doing that sort of stuff, because if anything, that is going to make that will certainly
it.
Well, it might make you feel good for the evening, but then the next day you're
coming down off them.
Well, look, I've spoken to enough people in the health industry to understand that alcohol does not help mental health issues.
You've had to speak to people in the industry to know that, have you?
Well,
I reckon you forget it.
You
forget who you're speaking to occasionally. The normal people you would speak to, not the normal, the general people would say, yes, Wayne, that's quite... You're expecting me...
Normal is nothing more than a cycle on a washing machine, right? Which is why when you said to me about the people at Luna Park, and you go, geez, they're not normal. What is normal these days? There is no such thing as normal anymore. Normal is not a word that you can use in any way about human life, because the new normal is being not normal in what you would consider normal. And as I said, that's why it's only a cycle on a washing machine now. It's the only time you should say, put it on normal.
No, but I didn't mean the normal. You forget who you speak to. You said, yes, the people I've spoken to who say drinking alcohol. You've had to be told that, have you? That you drink too much, it doesn't do you a lot of good in the next day.
Yeah, well, I did. Unfortunately, I did have to be told that at one point.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did they tell you that about drugs?
Tell you about everything. Everything that's... If, you know what, drink. If you're going to have a drink when you're happy, not to get happy.
You're just doing a show on cliches. This is going to be a whole half hour on cliches. Jesus. When the booze is in, the brain's out. Yeah, let's do a thing on cliches, eh? Fantastic. God, fuck me. So, all right. So, Mr. What's the boy's name? Mr. Jamara. You think he's the press are not highlighting this and saying
no. I just and
the Bulldogs should call Jamara in and say, "Hey, mate, come on, please." Have they done that, or maybe he's got to be counselled by a
Surely the
Tess.
Tess.
Why don't you give him Tess's number?
Surely there's some. I mean, they've obviously got something put in place to say to him that he's adhering to certain standards for him to continue to get paid. So I guess him going out, and I guess only the Bulldogs know that. What's
you
in
wait
his
till
contract,
they stop paying him and see what happens.
Yeah, he's spot on. So he's obviously ticking those boxes, and I guess we don't know what those boxes are.
So you're talking about the new normal. All right, let me show you this. I don't want you to think I'm making this up, because I'm not. It says here. This is from the trans rights community. Fight bigotry. 98% of straight men are unwilling to date trans women because of hatred. This has to change. This is what the... would you... Now, here, I'm asking you a question, Duck. Would you date...
Not my type.
Hang on, I haven't finished yet. Would you date a trans woman? You're sitting in a restaurant or a bar and you think, there's a fair-looking piece, man, woman or beast.
Nothing to do with hatred. It's just not my go.
Well, so what is the point of that advertisement?
Or
that statement?
Well, it's
what?
Stupid.
But people take that stuff. Yeah. We are forced to abide by a standard that is just so ridiculous.
That's just someone that's come up with a sign.
That's right. That is someone that's come up with a sign. That's exactly what it is.
I can do some. Not that I'm great at art, but
right. Well, now,
I could come up with a sign.
Oh, I see. Well, that
doesn't make it just because someone's made a sign doesn't make it right. Don't date Sam or Duck.
So
probably be
so
fair.
now I'm getting on to this.
Most would say, I wouldn't.
This is the place we're living in at the minute.
Yeah.
The sad, angry, miserable people who run this state couldn't concentrate on the fact that crime is rampant. There's no chief police commissioner. There's carjackings. The bail laws are up. Non-existent judicial ambivalence. There's car theft. There's ram raids. There's tobacco wars. There's major project debacle. There's corruption, dishonesty. There's traffic chaos. There's tax grab. There's power costs. That's what you have a government. But the people who run this state, have a listen to this, are now. This is what they're doing. They're enacting law that says that if you incite divisive or desperate or racist, they're setting up legislation so that you don't have the right to criticise people, or you'll be brought up before the court for hate speech.
They're saying that, yet they'll allow a march down the middle of the city.
Doug. This is nothing more. This is disingenuous government to try and divert from the parlous state this city's in, or this city's in, trying to divert attention by bringing up a ridiculous set of laws. It says,
"Well, I can't wait for the next. March through the city."
It says,
and we'll see what happens then. How many people get arrested when?
And they say the law is you cannot do this. As if they'd have to say this. They say you cannot do this. It's not lawful to incite hatred, physical threats, disability, gender or sexual orientation. You can't make fun of those. Who makes fun of that? And expects immunity. So they put that in. What they're doing is they're saying now that not you so much, people like me should be worried about having an opinion about someone who is not of your race, is not of your gender. It is just a push to have them agree with what they think is right, a bit like that 98% of people says it's hatred if you don't want to date a trans person. This is nothing more than a suppression of freedom of speech under the guise, and they've called it. Do you know what they've called it?
So this has been passed, has it?
Yes, I just read out the first part of it. But this is nothing more, and this is how disingenuous it is. They have exploited a high-profile sporting personality in an attempt to gain credibility, and they've called it the Sam Kerr clause. This is.
Oh yeah, you mentioned this last week.
Yeah. No one else has ever. We were ahead of the curve. I mentioned this last week, and suddenly it's everywhere. People, it's on the YouTube, it's on social media. This government is just deflecting from all the bloody things that's wrong with this state by bringing out the most ridiculous law. Of course, you can be. There's laws that for defamation and libel. There's laws for if you racially vilify someone.
So this government. Don't vote them. You've got the chance not to vote them in.
But that's the democracy. But they'll probably get in because, if the Liberals won't let me interview Sam Groth because they think I'm a Nazi. I mean, shit, what hope have they got? So. This is a disgrace, and it's just nothing more than a diversion of just to show how pathetic they are. And I'm going to say this again, this would stop us. In fact, we were stopped. Tell me what is wrong with this, and you're going to say you go on about this. We discussed many years ago the Nicky Winmar thing about lifting his jumper. At no stage did we say it wasn't true what he said, but lots of people thought it wasn't about his skin colour, it was about his weight. We had, I was so annoyed with this that we got fined $100,000 for vilification. We did nothing of the sort. We didn't vilify Nicky Winmar at all. It was about Black Lives Matter, why he was asked to comment every time a Black Lives Matter came up. And then Don Scott said, I'm not sure about why that is, because many people at the ground thought something different. Commentators did, teammates did, opposition players did. The photographer who took the photograph of Wayne Ludley, he lied about us and Sheehan and Scott. He lied. And we got an apology and we sued him for lying. Why, if that came up again, couldn't you discuss it? We didn't vilify anyone. We discussed what the general opinion was, and we said if Winmar says that's why he lifted his jumper, that's what we accept. That Sheehan said that.
Well, people have the ability, Sam, this new law that you've spoken about, people have the ability not to vote that government in.
Well, if you have a look at the opposition, how are they going? Who's the leader of the opposition? Do you know?
Or maybe just.
Do you know who the leader of the Victorian opposition is?
Maybe just vote the Greens.
What, Adam Brandt?
Or
who won't stand in front of the Australian flag at a press conference? Now, if I see, there's a man. If I criticise him, if that is hate speech, I say, why would you vote for a man who won't stand in front of the Australian flag? I said that is treachery. That is turning your back on the country that you are elected to Parliament in. Does that qualify for the government, this new legislation, for me to be indicted?
The thing, people, you have a
for
choice,
free speech?
You have a choice on who to vote for, and I think that the more that these things that you bring up often, the more that they rise up, then I think the more people will get out there and actually vote and actually read about what they're voting about.
Because they sneak
and
it
take
in.
but take more interest in who is actually going to lead them.
They sneak it in under the guise of, look, at the end of the week, and they say, oh, this is a new law that's been passed. Did you know that Macquarie University deducts marks off their test score for people who don't embrace vigorously the welcome to country scenario? They are asked, what is your opinion about welcome to country and all that? If you don't say you agree with it wholeheartedly, you'll get docked a couple of marks. This woman sued them.
Well, if you're smart, you just lie.
Why do you have to lie? It's against the law. That is illegal for someone to dock marks.
If they're going to give out marks for someone to lie, then you just lie and get your mark.
But
it's pretty.
But where does that start and end about lying?
I know. I'm being facetious.
I know you are, mate. I know you are. But this is a serious matter. That of all those things I mentioned that are going wrong in this state, that they could come up with crap like this to stop people having an opinion that they don't want you to have. They want you to have they want you to have their opinion. And if you criticise anyone about, and you're quite right, people who glue themselves to the road because of fossil fuel, people who disrupt the traffic from climate change. If you criticise all those people, you can suddenly find yourself...
Clive. Go vote for Clive then.
But I wouldn't vote for Clive. I'd vote for Pauline Hanson. I'd vote for... it's the point is that... The point is that they exploit Sam Kerr because she's an icon. They exploit her to make a Sam Kerr clause in a piece of legislation that does nothing more to have stop people having an opinion, a genuine opinion about all the things we've discussed today.
How many people out there do you reckon actually even know that this is, well, they will now, but that this is even something that there is a there is a new clause or a new
So one
thing.
day when someone like me or you or someone else is doing a thing like this,
No,
or
I'm
on the
just talking
television,
about. No, I'm saying that if this has been passed in legislation, how many people out there do you think actually know that this has?
they
actually
will
been
know
passed?
when there's a knock on the door and they say, "Oh, you said the other day we were listening to you that you didn't agree with Kakadu National Park being off limits to tourists now." Yes, I did say that. Well, that is vilification. Or Ben Fordham mentioned that the bloke was buried on top of Mount Panorama, and the race up there, the Bathurst 500, might be in jeopardy. And you say, well, that is ridiculous. You say, are you saying that the sanctity of someone being buried on top of an Indigenous... You can say anything is hate speech, or it's vilification, or it's not right. They can just come and say to you, I can say journalists, disgraceful journalists who misrepresent the truth and just lose awards and say things that are disgraceful. You can mention their names because it's factual, and you say, no, that's just that's hate speech. Where does that start and end, Duck?
Well, that's a very good point.
Well, so
don't have an answer for you.
No, because no one has an answer, because that government who I read out all the things that's wrong with this state, that's all they can concentrate on rather than fixing the fucking state that we live in.
I'm with you. I was just sorry. I was just going through something that...
Another appointment you got to cancel?
No, I was just looking up. I've got to go into Ralph Meats.
Smeetsy.
I'm going to go and see Smeetsy on Friday.
Did you ring him?
No, I can't go and see him Friday. It's Good Friday.
Yeah.
Do you eat... So we've got Easter coming up. Let's have a quick chat about that, because do you celebrate Easter? Do you eat meat on Good Friday?
Just tell us what you think Easter is on Friday. What's happened? What happened on Friday?
I don't want to go.
No, but I'm just saying.
I don't... Well, Sam...
No, Easter. Do you know what Easter is?
Yes, I do.
What is it? What happened on Easter?
Sam, I'm not going to... I can't be bothered going through it. It's
just
boring.
a simple
I'm just going to
question.
ask you. Yeah, it's the birth and the death of...
No, it's not the birth. He was nailed onto the cross, wasn't he?
the death. It's to do with all of that.
He was nailed on the cross,
and he was
wasn't
resurrected too, Sam. So,
on Sunday.
Yes, so that's Easter, right? So do you get the gist? Now, what I'm saying is, do you eat meat on Good Friday? You don't. Have you ever accidentally had meat on Good Friday?
Yeah,
accidentally, and you forgot, and you've eaten it, and you've got. That's right.
Just as a matter of interest, who says you can't eat? What is? Who says?
No one says you can't.
No, but that's the Catholics, isn't it?
Yes.
So what's wrong with eating meat on Friday? No, I'm serious.
Just asking you. But okay, so why then? Well, a lot of people.
No, I know that.
Fish and chip shops go boom on Friday. So anyway, well, I won't go and see Ralph. Well, I will go and see Ralph Meats on Friday.
He won't be open. Well, you're in the market. It'll be open on Good Friday.
Yeah, good point. Because I need some meat. How are you going to celebrate? So no, but how are you going to?
No, I've got to. Please, who says? The Catholics, I think, say, the Roman Catholic faith say you shouldn't eat you should only eat fish on, or the Greeks might say it, everyone might say it. Why? I'm sure I've eaten meat, which doesn't mean to say I'm a...
I accidentally had some...
I've
accidentally had it. When I say accidentally...
Doesn't mean to say I'm a pariah.
No, I have...
Wayne?
I won't be eating meat on Friday.
Why?
I don't know. Yeah, it's probably more of a tradition. Yeah, well, exactly. So,
do you think Christ, who's been nailed to the cross, cares if you eat? What is it? Is it purity, or you don't eat anything unless it's from the sea?
If you did, he'd forgive you anyway.
Of course, he forgives.
Yes, correct.
So go on.
Yeah, no, but it's one of those things which is, and they've read that. That's why I brought it up with you, is because. Is it one of those things? Because obviously I wasn't brought up in a religious family, or if I was, I certainly didn't know about it.
You couldn't afford food.
We did go to. I don't know why we did this, but I do remember going to Sunday school when I was really little.
And stealing what?
money
Food.
out of the plate and the bread. No,
Someone said,
I'm laughing at. No, so you just get brought up a certain way. Don't eat meat on Good Friday. Blah blah blah. And the main thing, and when you're a little kid, you don't even think about that. Generally, I would say a lot of parents out there don't even explain what you were just explaining then, and we just all that they care about is the Easter eggs and everything else that they're going to get. So the reason why I bring it up, because you've got granddaughters and grandsons.
Daughters.
Just daughters. And that is, so this year my kids are getting pajamas.
What's that?
They're getting pajamas for Easter, not Easter eggs. They'll get an egg, but they're not going to get numerous eggs. I mean, their other relatives will give them, I guess, heaps of eggs.
So it's a mini Christmas for them.
They're just going to give, they're just going to get some
pajamas.
Some bunny rabbit pajamas for winter, rather than a heap of eggs. There's nothing. So that's why I asked what
some bunny rabbit pajamas.
Yeah, Peter Alexander, you get some nice little.
Wayne, there's a TV series in this, mate. There's got to be the Wayne Carey documentary. This will go on HBO. This will go around the world. This stuff. They'll show you playing football, and they'll show you just having the whole ground to yourself. Because Dennis Bacon said, "Don't go near the duck." No, and he'll kick you. Won 8, 9 premierships on your own, and you've belted people and stolen stuff. And then they'll see that you're buying bunny rabbit pajamas for your kids. That's what they're getting. So
this weekend,
unbelievable.
And then so you got Good Friday, then Sunday, and then you've got Easter Monday.
Someone said you used to get pissed at communion; they couldn't get the chalice out of your hands. Yeah. I said the blood of our dear Lord Jesus Christ. Wayne, give us the chalice back. Pass it on to the next person. Just a minute.
No, so do you? Are you celebrate
religious?
Easter?
Do I celebrate it?
Yeah.
No, I'm a believer.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm a believer. You got to believe in something. Do you believe?
Do you
believe?
So you don't believe in evolution?
What?
You don't believe in evolution?
Of course, I believe in evolution.
So you believe in everything.
Do you if you think there's not?
I think you're naive. I think you'd be naive to think there's not a greater power.
Yes, that's my point. It doesn't have to be necessarily.
So we're on the same page.
Doesn't have to be a man with a big long beard.
But you also believe in evolution as well.
Well, the world is evolving. Yeah, evolution. Do you think we're the only planet among? There is trillions of planets like us. Do you think we're how could this be? Wayne, this is getting philosophical. No. This is moving on from.
You would be naive.
$5 note now.
Once again, you'd be naive to think that we are. You would have to think that there would have to be some other life form on one of the other planets somewhere.
So I want to ask you this. Because this is infecting Australia. It's affecting the world. I'm telling you this. You don't have to believe it.
I know.
Yeah, Trump is an absolute star, and he is taking a belting because he is going to right the wrongs that have been perpetrated on the United States, particularly China, and he's going to call their bluff because the only people who can buy China's crap is America, who's got 320 million people in it, the most affluent country in the world. And if their market dries up, if the American market dries up, China are out of business. They can't sell it to any of the other socialist countries in Europe. They won't sell it to Russia. They're all socialist countries and communist countries. And he is going to win the tariff war. He is the smartest person, the most brilliant politician ever. And the more they knock him, fancy the bloke saying he could cut Trump out of Home Alone 2, but he bullied him into putting him in the part. That's what made the film, probably.
What about, do you agree with, there's Australian companies that have been affected by the tariffs.
Of course, he said it's across the board. If you charge us tariffs, we'll charge you tariffs.
Yeah.
Yep. What's wrong with that?
No. Well, how do you think it's going at this point in time? He's gone back on a few of the promises.
But because
and
that's
things.
the art of the deal. He wrote a book on it.
I know. Have you read that book? Have you?
No, I haven't read that book.
Okay.
No, but that's it. You go humph and trump and huff and puff with a big
He's
stick.
gone broke a few times too, Donald.
And so is every other media, every other multi-mogul.
So he's made
people
some
who
blues.
build.
So he's made some blues. Maybe this is one of them.
People who build casinos.
I know,
and
but he's made
businesses.
blues.
There's most of the billionaires and even trillions and billionaires in this world have gone broke,
But he's made-
or have used the system, the judicial system, to get out of financial problems.
I'm
if
just
they
being
wish.
argumentative with
No,
you.
but that's good.
And I'm saying this: that if
That's
he's
good.
made mistakes in business before. Why couldn't this be one of the ones he's making now?
I'm very glad your argument. We get lots of. So why don't you get someone on? They say who disagrees with you and will say exactly what you're saying.
Yeah.
So appreciate it. So there's how many places in this city we live in? How many multi-millionaires who build or do or develop things have gone broke?
Yeah,
they
plenty.
use the tax law.
No, but they'll also no, and I'm not talking. So you admit that he's made some blues.
He has made some blues.
Okay, so
as
why,
a businessman.
So why couldn't this be one of those blues as a businessman? Because at the end of the day, this is business.
Yes.
Even though this is business that he's doing. Why couldn't this be a mistake that he's making? And then invariably it comes out in 6 months' time that this was one of the biggest blues a president has ever made.
Well,
It could happen.
How could it happen? Because
Well, you don't know whether it's not going to happen. It could happen.
Well,
it is a possibility.
I'm just going on logic.
The law of probability.
I'm going on the law of probability. It's never happened before. No one has ever taken on the tariff industry, as in
Which means it could be a yes or it could be a no.
So he's banking on the fact. So he said we will apply reciprocal tariffs to everyone who charges. So far he says, and this has been confirmed. I don't know who by, but it's been confirmed that 70 countries have called him. The leaders of 70 countries have called him to try and nut out a deal, which means you take the tariffs off and we'll take the tariffs off. And he said, if you fight back, you will do it at your own peril. China is the only country that has increased their tariffs, and Trump put his tariffs up then to 140%. So it's going to end up that he's going to try and run China out of business because they've got no one to sell their goods to unless they come to the table and be fair. That's what he's saying. Who does China sell their shit to? All this stuff, and China said, well, we won't sell you now rare earth minerals that make conductors and chips and all that. We will stop you doing that.
So a lot of products are sold all around. Obviously, your Nikes and all sorts of things are sold.
So Nike are made in Indonesia. And China in sweatshops, kids of 12 and 13 and 14 getting $2 a month making them, and LeBron James and you who wear Nike and you say, oh yeah, they're $900 a pair, and you just exploit sweatshop kids and underage laboe. And
what other brands are made there? There's brands,
everything.
Yeah, correct.
Everything.
Correct.
Because
it's made cheaply.
Because America ceded CED.
Because it's made cheaply.
But that's why they ceded the manufacturing industry. They said they threw their hands in the air and they said, no, we'll buy all the cheap shit and we'll turn a blind eye to the exploitation of child labour.
What about the exploitation of just about every company that you bring up and you get put through to someone on the other side of the world to answer the phones?
Yes, who can't speak English.
So what about where does it stop? It's happening in every industry everywhere.
And that's what he's on about. You cannot buy an American car. You cannot buy an American car in Europe or China. And yet America imports more European cars. MG, remember MG?
Yep.
Do you know what MG stood for? Morris Garages, and it's now made in China. They've brought the company. You cannot buy an American car anywhere in the world but he says, well, we'll charge you tariffs. We'll put up the tariffs if you don't. If you let us build cars, they build Chevys and Fords in America. Why don't we? Can't we export them over to your country? Someone might like the choice to buy a Chevy or a Ford
America,
over in
the richest state in America at one point in time was Detroit, because that's where all the cars were made.
That's correct.
And then they offloaded them all over there. So they're the ones that made the decision to offload it to get them made cheaper.
Correct, Wayne.
Yes.
Successive American presidents, and he is now trying to right the wrong of making America great again. That's what his slogan is.
Right.
And he is banking on the fact
Well, I hope
that
he gets this right.
Eh?
I hope the tariff thing is right for everyone that has businesses that are affected by this.
You've got the ridiculous situation where the opposition, the Democrats, are now sanctioning people firebombing Tesla dealerships, keying Tesla cars, because Elon Musk is now trying to pare the waste out of government, and he is now closing down departments because they're a rort. So they are now sanctioning firebombing Tesla cars, which are electric vehicles, which everyone thought, oh, this is the start of a clean new free world. They're now pushing back on gang members being deported out of the country, because Trump said if you're an illegal alien, you'll be arseholed out of the country. They're now defending those people. You can't believe this. You cannot believe the fact that they're defending. They're defending the things that are indefensible because they dislike Trump. And they're trying to bring him down. They brought him down once. They brought him down, and he came back against all odds. He is brilliant.
Yep. Well, what's he got? He's got 3.5 years to go.
Yeah, and then he's out.
And then he's out.
That's it.
Can't ever run again. Can't ever be.
That's correct.
Again.
And he's trying to right the ship. He doesn't need to do it. He's got more. You say he's been broke. He's bought casinos, and he's done developments that have gone broke, and he's used the law to minimise his losses, and he's employed plenty of people, and I see his greatest and fiercest critic, a bloke called Bill Maher, who someone said, why don't you go and meet Trump? You might have a different opinion of him. He went down, and in fairness to Bill Maher, he said, I'm going to say this, I know I'll take a kick in the guts for it. He said, I've never met a more pleasant man who was affable and polite, had a great chat to him, and I don't agree with anything he does, but he was a very nice person.
What was interesting while all this tariff stuff was going on is Trump found time to play golf. 2 days.
So that's what they criticise.
Golf only takes 7 hours, 8 hours to.
So he hasn't. So that's what they got on to him about. Joe Biden in 4 years spent 180 days not working. He lay on the beach in the last 6 months of his tenure of office. Trump has been working 18 hours a day. He's gone and played recreationally to recharge his batteries, a bit like the boy from Footscray who's down there drinking martinis. He's recharged his batteries. You've got it. He played golf twice, and they said, look at him, he's playing golf while the world's burning. He's going to stop Iran from getting a nuclear bomb. Who said that they just want to wipe Israel off the face of the earth. He's trying to solve the Ukraine, Putin-Russia war. Yep. He's trying to save the Middle East. He's trying to broker a peace deal there. They should give him the Nobel Peace Prize.
Geez, I reckon you're being attacked here today.
Yeah, that's the wind.
You've had a few.
But the government might be onto us because we're having an opinion about things. You cannot believe that stuff the government are doing.
No, I'm with you, Sam. I'm with you with that. I'm with you.
All right, Duck.
We've got to vote them out.
Was there anything else? When you go away, I say there's things I wanted to speak to you about, and I'm going to.
Hey?
dementia test.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
So I went in yesterday. I was in hospital. I had something
Yep.
cut out of my side. I spent
Yep.
the day in hospital. And the woman said to me, this is good. Nurse, very good people they are. This was at the Epworth, but they're good everywhere. If the government were ever going to do anything, they should give the nurses and the police a pay rise.
What did I say?
You did.
And the school teachers.
You're spot on. As long as they don't ask them
To do welcome.
put their hands on the ground and sing the song of Welcome to Country.
Righto.
So the woman said to me, I'll give it to you.
Yeah.
She said, now look, anyone over 65, we have to do this now. We have to give you, I said, was this an acuity test? She said it is, because we've got so she said, could you, she said, try and not hesitate, but just try and work your brain in reverse and say it as you're doing it. Could you give us the months of the year in reverse?
You've got to think too hard to do it.
That's right. So I said, December,
November,
October,
September,
I'm desperately...
August,
I know, but it's...
July, June, May.
I know.
Yeah.
But if you are a tall, not sharp,
April.
you'd be fucked. You would have...
Yeah,
Jesus,
yeah.
I can't... Then she said something else. She said, what was the other thing I said? I said, give us another one. She said, oh, yeah. Give us the answer to these 4 questions. Your date of birth, where you were born, where you are at the minute, and the year. So I said, yes, 22, I did my date of birth. I said, what were the other 3? I said, is that the test that I can't remember the 3 things you asked me, or I don't know the answer to the questions you asked me?
Yeah.
She said, you're meant to remember the things. You're meant to remember the things I asked you. We reckon you'd know the answers.
Yeah.
And I said, Jesus, that's good. That's good. So when she said, where are you? I said,
Where were you born? Do you know?
in Geelong.
Yeah, which do you know the hospital?
Yeah, the Geelong Hospital.
Geelong Hospital.
Yeah.
Geelong. Yeah, the Geelong Hospital. Oh, well, I figured there might have
So
been
when
more
she
than one.
said a date of birth, and then she said, where are you? And I said, when I got to that, I said, where am I? I said, I'm in Melbourne. She said, no, where are you now? I said, where am I now? I'm in Bridge Road. She said, no, where are you? I said, I'm at the Epworth Hospital. She said, that's the answer. I said, oh, Jesus.
Well, you
Shit.
could have done all that. You could have said, I'm in Melbourne. And
I know, but she said the answer is on specifically where are you?
Yeah.
I said, I'm sitting in an office answering these
talking
questions
to
with you, yes.
Find out whether I've still...
No, but I said, I can't remember the questions you asked me, or is that part of the test? Anyhow, the only president to have done an acuity test, Obama didn't do one, Clinton didn't do one, Joe Biden, not only didn't he do one, they wouldn't let him do one. Trump is the only person who's done 3 acuity tests, and the doctor or the person who did it said he has never seen anyone nail it like Trump did. Anyone, not let alone a
Well, I hope
president.
the questions are a little harder than what you got.
Well, they're properly
Yeah,
tested
proper
and designed
test,
acuity tests to see if you can remember what order.
I don't
people
think if you do, you know, you shouldn't probably ask questions about oneself, because you should know your date of birth pretty easily, where you were born, where you are
well,
right
this was just to ease you into the fact that I couldn't remember the 4 questions.
Yeah.
I got the first 2 of them. I said,
Hang
"What
on,
are the other 2?"
I thought you were mucking around. Did you honestly forget the other 2?
I forgot. What's the other 2 you asked me? And she said, "Well,
That's hilarious.
what year is it?" And I said,
Yeah.
"What year is it?" I said, 2025. She said, "Yeah." And where are you? I said, and then I couldn't remember the last 2 that she asked me.
Oh,
So
well,
I
I must
said,
be all right, because I remembered the 4 you asked me.
Did you?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Well, good on you. Well, look. All right. Well, I, every time I go, there's something.
All right.
Is that it?
Yep.
Well, you've got out of the
43.
Oh,
Perfect timing.
Well, Ben Fordham would normally be on.
I know.
So Ben, Doc,
Come on, Ben.
seriously, I don't know. What would we have asked him if he'd been on today?
Oh, well, you could have asked him about the tariffs. He would have had a better answer than I would have.
No, you were good.
Eh?
No, you.
Yeah.
So this is good that you do this. I don't want you to, not that you do. I don't want you to sit there and agree with everything.
No.
In fact, I don't think you've agreed with anything I've said today.
I no, there's been a few things.
No, you did. You said that boy, Footscray, should be reprimanded.
I didn't say reprimanded. I said I just wonder why or how, given that if he's got some issues going
Mentally.
on. If he does have some serious issues, serious enough for a guy that's being paid the money he's being paid not to play football, then he probably shouldn't be doing what he's doing. That's all.
The bigger issue as well, the press don't highlight
They
it.
might say that that's why he's allowed to do that, because that's how he's overcoming drinking pina coladas and having what are they called?
Espresso
and
martinis.
Aperol spritzers and
You know all the names.
yeah, rosé and Great Northern.
We'll finish this now. Just remember, sad, angry, miserable people are running this state. Sad, angry and miserable.
I'll dwell on that all day.
Yeah. Well done. That's it. Thank you.